Cello, I'm Kathy with a K, sometime radio broadcaster here in Honolulu, and this is Hawaii POV, a talk story series. Radio, music, Hawaii. I only know you as Jake, and then so when I saw you pop up, this is Jake Galves. Okay, so Jake has just been in radio for a few decades. I guess let's just start from the beginning. You're originally from?
Kaimuki.
Kaimuki, born and raised?
Born in Kaimuki. Yeah, I went to Damien High School. It was actually all the family went to St. Louis, so I was actually the only one that I kind of broke the mold.
How did you get into radio? Was there going to shows, concerts, calling into radio?
I used to go, who didn't go to the clubs and hang out? And I was an aspiring DJ, mixing music and stuff like that. I was learning to mix, and I was kind of teaching myself. I used to hang out, watch people like Doc Rock, JP, EP. I told myself one day I'm going to be like that. And I'd always go to the club and hang out, and I always had a crate of records stashed in the car. I always told him, I want to try. One night, Doc goes, if you got records, you can come. Thinking that maybe I didn't have anything with me and to shut me down. Well, I ran out the club and I came back with a crate, and he's like, oh my gosh. I was like, you got to keep your word. And that started it. Met Lanai through them.
What year was this?
94, 95. I think it was still the three local boys. Okay. Chiggy check. He was transitioning from the nights to the afternoons. Well, that kind of started. I met Lanai then, and I was kind of hanging out. A few years later, a really good friend of mine's, Eddie L. Love him. We were working together as DJs at the Cello. We had kind of gone our own ways, and then one day he called me as, hey, I have a chance at doing an audition for the night show. Do you want to come and hang out with me?
To do a radio show.
To do a radio show. Okay. At the time, oh man, what did they, experiments. They were called experiments. I had a chance at an experiment. I don't know if people know that nowadays everything is all automated. I hung out with him. It was an overnight shift from midnight to 4 in the morning. Had a blast. Went home that night, 9:30, 10 o'clock the next morning. He calls me. He goes, my boss wants to meet you, or meet us. I, oh man, we're in trouble. And so I walk in, and he introduces me to this man named Alan Oda. Master Yoda. I really liked what I heard. I've only got spot for one, but the chemistry was so great, I want to offer two. Birth of the Mixed Nuts.
So it was Eddie L, and you went, what was your name on air?
J Kid.
J Kid.
Yes, and then we did the night show on KIKI. I think it was Hot I94 still at the time. We did the night show, 7 to midnight, it was us, and then we had a bunch of interns at Urusai and Pomai, and they had the promotions crew, and they would go around, and the year we started, it was an election year. She made signs, and we had the promotions crew go out and sign wave the night show, and we ended up becoming the #1 night show in Hawaii.
This is pre-internet. I mean,
pre-internet, pre all of that. It was, all you had was a radio dial, and that's, or actually the bomb had just started to as well. So there was a whole bunch of new hip-hop radio stations coming into the market.
Mixing music, was it something you saw on like Yo MTV Raps, or was there somebody at Damien?
First semester at Hilo, I was just out of high school, and some guys in the dorms, one guy had a mixer and a couple of CD players, and he was doing something that I thought was super fascinating, and I was like, wow, I would love to do that. I've always been into music.
When you were going to the clubs, where were you working?
I wasn't. I was still in school. I was at KCC taking classes. I stopped going to school because I was in the clubs, and then, Doc them said, hey, come on, and started seeing money. Money outweighed class.
You mentioned Doc Rock and those cats, but you would go to the clubs. What were the names of these clubs? Or were they events that were just like kind of one-offs?
Well, it started off with like World Cafe, Blue Zebra.
Oh my, I've just done a few interviews and no one's brought up Blue Zebra. Just like, that's just, wow,
places like Rumors, Rhythm House, World Cafe. All the
and were you J Kid when you were on the ones and twos?
Well, actually, that's Doc named me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't have a name, and it's Kid because I was the youngest of the group. It really started at Rhythm House. They were there, and they would offer me the opportunity to come in and practice during the day. So I would be in the club when the club was closed and stay in there 8 hours from the morning time, go home, take a quick shower, and then come back in the evening time and watch them do their magic, and then come back the next morning and try to repeat what I saw the night before.
But to be on the radio, some people get like a deer in headlights when the mic is on, the on light is flashing, and It's kind of a lot when tens of thousands of people, even in the overnight, are listening.
I think for me, being in the clubs before and having that, and I like to talk to people. Well, I'm Portuguese, so we'll blame it on that.
What's the appeal of radio?
I think it kind of chose me. Going back to all of that college stuff and where it got started, I actually was in the clubs. I don't know, it was just something that was kind of natural. Things presented itself, and I just took advantage of the opportunity, and other things would present itself. And I like to say that I've been blessed with a gift. Never went to school for it. I was never anybody's intern. Yeah, it was just something that was kind of natural. Mixed Nutz, of course, we were both, not only were we mixed race, but we were both mixers, DJ club mixers. So two crazy young kids, DJs, mixed races, and so the Mixed Nutz. And there was that Friday night Eurasia mix show, which eventually morphed into live mixes on air and stuff like that, which to this day continue. K Smooth, who is now with, I believe he's with 102.7 The Bomb, KDDB. He would mix in the room while Eddie and I were talking. Some days Eddie would go into the DJ booth to mix while I would talk on air. Some days I would go into the booth to mix while Eddie talked. Jimmy Taco was in there. There's so many different influences, and I was around such good influence and good company that, like you said, I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life.
Do you have a preference if it was only mixing or only being like a radio broadcaster, just being an MC, I guess? Because luckily you didn't have to choose, in regards to that time period.
That's funny. I think that was one thing that kind of set both Eddie and I apart, is that we could do both. We are versatile on both sides. There wasn't anybody at the time, or there were good MCs, but those good MCs couldn't DJ. Very good DJs, but those DJs couldn't MC.
It is a rare combo.
Yeah, it's...
Because sometimes one would just 51% it to 49, and so you would just go to one discipline.
Or just knowing enough to get you through to get to the next, or they both work in unison. I think that's, like I said, for me, it's a gift, something I've been blessed with.
Island Rhythm 98.5, Jake on the Air, 1999.
Yes.
KDNN. Do you remember the lineup?
I was the first voice on the station, and nobody else came on air until 2000.
Jockless. It was just...
it was, I don't even think they had spots, or there were no commercials on air at the time either. It was just me kind of talking in between. Again, too, I don't know if these young ones remember, but that Y2J 2000 scare, nobody knew what was Y2K or whatever. Nobody knew what was going to happen with computers when that flip of the clock, and I had to sit here at midnight. So I remember that year. Yes, it was me that had to sit here and not enjoy my New Year's. Yeah. But after that, mornings was Lanai and Augie. Wendy, it was Lanai them, and then Wendy from Waianae. Afternoons. Okay. And then I was doing evening, and then she ended up going on her own path, and then Eddie came in. Eddie came from KIKI, started doing the afternoons at Island, and then Rodney jumped in at that same time as well. That ended up being the crew. Pomai came over, and I don't even think you could listen to the station at the time online. It was still just a terrestrial thing. But I remember when the station first started, as incentive for us to work hard, they told us, we'll give you a year to see how this station goes, and depending how well we do, you'll be rewarded. We ended up becoming a force within the Honolulu radio market within 6 months. I believe we went, within our demographic, we went number one, from nothing to number one in 6 months. And they took the entire staff to Vegas. Thank you, Lanai. That's why I said I'm going to brag. That's why I said I'm going to brag. They gave us 1 year to do it. We did it in 6 months, and all expenses paid. All we had to do was bring whatever money we wanted to play with. Oh, Big Steve was with us.
Oh, yeah. Names like there's Harold Maeha.
Harold was Lanai them's intern. He didn't come to Vegas with us. He had jumped on afterwards. Oh, my goodness. John James was with us.
Pilot.
Yes, yeah, buddy. Flights are kind of expensive here. Do you want to start flying me around?
Someone's looking for a sponsor. We're all looking for a sponsor.
Yes, we all are. On the promotion side was Angel Tevis.
Oh, yeah.
John Ching.
JJ,
yes. All these pictures are just flashing through my head. So many different influences.
How long were you with KDNN Island Rhythm?
I was with them until maybe 2003, 2004. Ended up moving to the Big Island, and I did radio on the Big Island. I really love what I was doing, and I still do love what I'm doing. So,
What is it about radio that keeps you here?
the interaction with people and being able to touch people in that way, you can really make someone's day. They can be having a terrible day, and you play them their favorite song, and all of a sudden you're their best friend, and you don't even know this person. You know, you walk out on the street and, hey, how are you? Thanks for playing my song, and oh my gosh, I love you, and this and that, and who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to smile and say, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. For me, that's what it is, being able to make a positive impact on people's lives like that.
2004, you exited the Honolulu radio broadcasting market.
Yeah.
How did the move come up?
Chris Osgood, he's
Sales.
a sales associate. He's now in Houston, Texas. He had started up a new radio station in the Big Island. And again, I caught word that there's a new station coming up. Actually, I think it was a play on like island rhythm somehow. A reggae and local music station that they were starting up.
You and your family moved to Hawaii Island.
Yes. Initially, it didn't pan out, so I went up there and I worked construction for a while, actually, hanging drywall. And I was like, man, I'm just going to try at it again. Threw some feelers out there, eventually getting a job with one of the radio stations there. 93.9. It was a hip-hop station, so they were looking for a change. I was pivotal in helping them change to that, to the programming into that reggae sector as well, that island reggae sector. It was called Native FM. Yeah.
What year was that? And isn't it funny? The
Maybe-
closer it gets to now,
I
it's just
was
like,
going to
I
say,
don't know.
yeah, short-term memory now. Maybe 2008 or so, 2007, 2008, right around there. KLUA, Kailua.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kailua Kona.
Kailua Kona, yeah. So it was 93.9 on, when you drive the windward side and you come out of the tunnels here, if you're listening to 93.9, sometimes it flips stations.
On a clear day.
On a clear day, that's the Hilo station. So it was 93.9 on the Kona side, and it's 95.9 on the Hilo side.
That's why
So
I
it
love
was-
driving on Oahu North Shore, scanning, because there's a certain point you can catch Kauai stations or like Maui, and like I'm like, and I'll hear something from the Big Island. And I'm like, oh, it must be such a good day, no fog.
Flip side on that, when I'm on Hawaii Island and I'm driving around, there's pockets where you can hit, say as you're coming over Saddle Road, you catch KSSK, you can catch Star 101.9, you can catch KCCN, FM 100, in Kona you can catch, you know.
The people on the mainland might not be able to understand. It's like, even though we're a chain of islands, it's the terrain, it doesn't necessarily give a clear shot. How long were you at Native FM?
Maybe about 4 years too. Eventually became the music director of the station as well.
Fun.
So, yeah.
So what was the initial music focus, and then by the time toward the end of your tenure, I guess, what did it evolve into?
Well, when I had left there, they were still island and reggae station. They have since flipped back to hip hop. I was offered a position at the University of Hawaii at Hilo to become the advisor. Well, they were looking to create a radio station on campus, and they were looking for advice and guidance. So I had known a couple of people at the university that were students that were in charge of doing that, and they had come to me asking if I would be their go-to, their source for knowledge. And I said, yeah, and
That's a full circle, because you were a student at the University of Hawaii at Hilo.
yeah, it's kind of weird. I walk around campus and I see my old dorm room. Talk about some flashbacks there, yeah. So 2002, they had an AM station that they started that AM station, and then back in 2014 is when the FM, I had actually helped them go through all the FCC paperwork.
What's the call letters for the Hilo station?
So right now it is KUHHLP, because we're a low power FM station. There's different classes of FM stations now.
BOMB. What's the acronym?
Board of Media Broadcasting.
Okay, and you're the advisor for the University of Hawaii at Hilo for that media arm for radio in particular.
Well, they have that board, and then we're actually a subgroup of the board. So University Radio Hilo it's all under that. There's also a video portion of that, Vulcan Video Productions. So there's audio and video.
So when they came to you, even though they're college students, it must have been, was it intimidating? Because we need your advice about FCC regulations and paperwork, and it's a bit heady, you know?
I faked it till I made it.
That's when the gray hairs would come in handy.
Exactly, that's what it is. Yeah, they wanted help, and I said, oh, I could help you.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing about applying for radio stations is the FCC only opens up that window every 8 years. So
Oh, it's like HFD.
yeah, it's kind of one of those.
Department,
Yeah. It's kind of one of those. When you get your chance, you gotta try. So they had tried previously, and they went through some agency in the mainland, and they had gotten denied. And fast forward another 8 years, another window was coming up, and they wanted to try. So they had approached me, and I said, sure.
What was the process like?
Very, very interesting. So I had to read a book about rules, regs, and policies, procedures. I get to the very last page, and it says, if you're a college institution, majority of this doesn't apply to you, because it's all commercial radio about, you know, ASCAP. Well, we still pay all those fees and all that stuff, but
Payola,
plugola, and all that, because we're an educational institution. I guess the FCC is a little bit more lenient on some things like that. And if we're off air, we don't get penalized. Swearing, of course, that stuff still all stands and sticks.
What's that, the sanctuary, not sanctuary, that safety hour? That safe haven? I can't even remember.
Yep, safe hours. I have opted to stick with no. We're just no swearing, because I don't even want to deal with it and offend anyone, any directors, or have the Board of Regents from the university come down and say, no, you guys are a little too wild, we're going to shut you down.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
I told them, if it's something that you're afraid to say in front of your parents or your grandparents, we ain't doing it. Another reason, too, is my name's on the FCC license. So if there is any violation, FCC's calling me and I'm going to court, and I don't want to go to court. So not on my watch. We'll just keep it clean. Yeah, so went through that, and we almost didn't get our FM license because the government had shut down. It was during the time of the government shutdown back in 2013, 2014. During that application process, like that window is only like that, and government was shut. It had opened with like 3 days left in that window, and we had gotten approved.
Oh, the planets were aligned.
It's just kind of fallen into place and kind of lined up for me. So yeah, that's really nice.
So it launched summer 2014?
It was 2013, 2014, one of those, like you said, the closer we get in time, like the short-term memory is, it's not there, As the advisor, challenging the students to think above and beyond and outside the box. So the call letters are KUHH, because it's University of Hawaii at Hilo, so UHH. The K is natural in any radio station here in the islands.
Was
K
it
is the first.
west of the Rocky Mountains?
West
it's
is K.
And then east side, it's W.
Yeah.
It starts with W.
So we got the UHH for University of Hawaii at Hilo, and then you get to choose what frequency you want. College courses start at 101. Your first class is 101, and it's 0.1 because it's a new era. So 101.1. Yeah.
That's how much I love radio.
I taught them kids well.
That's so wonderful.
Like, I mean, that was in my head, that's what I was envisioning, but I didn't want to push my thing on them, and I wanted them to see that, and the students saw that, and they presented it to me, and I was like, yes. Each student gets 2 hours once a week, and it's up to them what they want to play. All genres. We have varying from rock to reggae to hip hop. There's jazz students. If students want to do talk shows and stuff like that. So it's a really open format, similar to like how Radio Free or how KTUH is here. Right now, my goal is to hopefully maybe see if, since it is a university system, maybe merge the two together, have a relationship where we can boost both stations. Is that cool? Barra.
Jake.
You guys just film me. I don't like bottom nobody.
Barra.
You guys still plugged in over here?
Yeah. Come.
What's up, man?
How are you, brother?
Good, man. How's everything?
Good.
Are you doing the POV?
Yep.
Yeah, trying to.
Hello, who's this over here?
Malia.
Hello,
Cora.
Representing Eva Beach,
right on.
I think.
Yeah.
When you coming in, there's those that's little subdivision on the left side. It's all gray, like townhouses and stuff like that. The first one, the very first one, like right across from the hospital, where the hospital was. So that used to be on a ranch over there. when I was growing up. So I get pictures
grew
of like
up
us
in
on the horse
Hilo.
and stuff like
Aww.
that. Riding around a ranch.
I can't. I'd be so
Yeah.
scared for the horse if he was approaching him.
I gotta ride
You're like
Clydesdales, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want the furry legs, bro.
The furry legs, the kind with the fringe.
Yep.
Yeah, the one with the big caps. Yeah.
And Heiser Boosh. Check you out.
Okay,
That's
right on, man.
Shoot, bro. Good seeing you.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Did you work with Koa ever?
He was just coming on, kind of, or he was around. I think he was still interning when I left here.
Oh.
Yeah.
When you were growing up,
Mm-hmm.
who did you listen to on the radio?
No, Lanai and the Loose Crew. So Lanai, Augie, and Kui. People like Spaz. Spaz was DJing. I remember back in the day, my grandmother them used to listen to KCCN because to this day, I remember they used to have that little jingle and they used to say the time in Hawaiian. Perry and Price, of course. Shalyn Cole, I guess. Rory and Greg. Gina Lynn. Freaking Weekend Show with Vic. Willie Moku.
What was that Welcome to My Job?
Yeah, Willie. I remember the influences once being in it.